All right, folks, here we are on Trading Up. We've got Kyle from Jade Capital FX here in the house. Again, if you recognise the face, it's because we had an epic interview not that long ago. It was back in July 2022. We're now in September. So how are things with you, Kyle? Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Appreciate you having me back on here. I've kind of been taking the summer a bit slow. I've been working with Rodrigo from CTI. He's been helping me as far as because as a full-time trader, it's so hard to keep your schedule in a place where you're productive, but also focused on the right things. So he's been helping me one-on-one coaching, just working on my schedule, working on psychology, mapping my behavioral patterns, and just so I can optimize my trading the best, almost as if I was a professional athlete.
Right.
I invested in a Whoop bracelet, so I track my sleep, my recovery. I've been, hitting the gym at 5 a.m. pretty much on a, daily basis. Just getting after it really, kind of structuring my life in a way that I can be the most productive trader and also not burn myself out, right? Like I don't want to overwork myself and invest too much time in the markets where I'm not investing in other areas of my life as far as working out, dieting, spending time with family, things like that.
That's awesome. That's so cool that you're literally treating it like a professional athlete and tracking everything. That's awesome. That is. And so have you sort of noticed improvements and stuff like in general things that you're doing?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like my mental balance, at times when you're going through drawdown periods, it's very difficult to get out of that rut. And it's the same thing with diet and exercise, right? If you go into a rut where you commit to something, like let's say if you're going to commit to going to the gym 3 days a week, if you go to the gym 2 days a week, 1 week, it kind of throws you out of sync with everything, right? So being able to dedicate yourself to a routine and to a process and stick to it is so important. If I don't get to sleep, and that's kind of what I noticed is using this Whoop bracelet, I notice my sleep patterns, right? On the weekend, let's say if I have a poor weekend where I might stay out with friends, somebody might be in town, I'm spending out, a lot of my time or not getting to bed at the right time, it kind of throws me off for the next week. So now if I stay up late on Friday and Saturday with my friends going out, I don't have that time to reset and recover, get to bed at a proper time on Sunday because I'm kind of wound up. My sleep schedule is a bit off. Now, leading into Monday, it's harder for me to get in the gym in the morning, and then it kind of throws my whole week off. You know what I'm saying? So I've really been trying to stick on track with a routine and process that can definitely improve my trading performance.
And I'm sorry, what's this bracelet called? A Whoop bracelet, is it?
Yeah, it's a Whoop bracelet. Yep.
I've never heard of that. Is it is it connected to your
So it's
phone
almost
and
like,
stuff?
it's almost like an Apple Watch, but it tracks your blood oxygen level, your heart rate. So even if during a trading session, you can track your activity to monitor what your heart rate is doing. If it's spiking when you're placing a position, or if you don't get enough recovery at night, that you're not going to perform at your top, at the peak performance that you should be. If I don't get enough sleep, I know I probably shouldn't be trading the next day. If I had a plan to get to bed at 8 o'clock and I stay up till 11, now I don't get enough sleep. I don't get to the gym in the morning. My whole morning routine is messed up. I don't have time to meditate or stretch and prepare myself for the training session. I know I'm going to make a mistake. And it's happened to me before, right? If I don't focus on that area, and let's say it's all in preparation. If I don't prepare for the market, I'm going to make a poor decision just based on reaction. If I see something that I wasn't prepared for, I might act on impulse rather than on my trading plan.
And so what about from a mental aspect? I mean, we've talked about the physical there. What about from a mental preparation side of things? Has Rod got you doing anything different in that space that you weren't doing before?
Yeah, I mean, so he kind of pulled this information from the Mental Game of Trading by Jared Tendler, where I'm tracking my behavioral patterns, right? I'm tracking my A game, B game, and C game patterns. What's putting me in my A game, what's putting me in my B game, and what's the C game pattern, right? A lot of my C game patterns are either revenge trading, over trading, oversizing, things like that. And really finding a correction to that pattern, right? If I find that I'm over trading in my trading plan, I'm only allowed to take 2 to 3 trades per week. I know if I'm hitting that threshold, this is the correction. My correction is turning off my trading terminal, going outside, going for a walk, meditating, going to the gym, doing something that's not trading related, right? I can read. Once that period's over, I can actually sit down and analyze it without any emotions attached to it, right? Because if I take a loss, of course I'm going to be emotional. I think it's important to step away from the screens, have that time to yourself, recuperate, and then come back in a different light and analyze what went wrong, and then reset yourself for the next trade.
Okay, so it's very much a lot of reflection there in terms of what you're doing versus trying to get yourself in a mental state to then turn the PC on and open the charts and look at it.
As far as like meditate, that hasn't changed for me. It's really more about what can I add to it that will also improve my mental game, because meditation in itself is still not enough. It's a piece to the puzzle, but there's other things that I can add to that that will help me mentally prepare better. Not only that, but I've been hitting CrossFit pretty hard. I actually finished David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me. It was an amazing book. He pretty much talks about how he exercises not to sharpen his physical abilities, but to sharpen his mental. And to me, it's the same way. It's like when I hit those thresholds in the gym where I don't want to, hit that last rep or last set, and I'm out of breath. I can't think about anything. It's like my mind goes into that place where it's uncomfortable, but I still push through anyway. And the market's the same way. It's going to make you uncomfortable. It's about being in that uncomfortable situation and how you deal with it.
Yeah, it's interesting that. So it's, I sort of treat exercise as a mental sort of avenue to help me with my mental state versus trying to get in shape and stuff. I want to get in shape,
exactly.
But that's not the main reason. Especially at the age of 47, I'm sort of like, it's all done now.
If you look at it that way, for me, it's the same thing. Really, you could look at it either way. You could look at it as I'm going to the gym to be more physically fit, or I'm going to the gym to be more mentally fit with the addition of being physically fit.
Yeah.
Kind of just the bonus.
Yeah, so that's interesting. And so I suppose everyone's sort of, first of all, actually, sorry, when you say drawdown, are you talking about sitting in a drawdown, or just your accounts are in drawdown from the start of the month or something like that?
Yeah, just in general. I would say it's for both, right? If you're feeling anxious while you're in a position and your position's in drawdown, you can find a way to get away from the screen and not babysit the trade. Because at that time, you had a plan going into it. Why are you letting your mental impact your trading plan, right? And it also goes to the point of, have you taken losses and now your account balance is down? It's the same. It's really the same process. You have to get away, reset your mind, understand the drawdown, and come back refreshed and make a better decision, or be prepared for the next trade.
Cool. And I suppose a question on my mind. So when we last interviewed you, and if I share my screen in a bit, we'll see the video here as well. You're at $3.2 million worth of funding from Funding Challenges. I mean, has that changed? Has that gone up or gone down?
No, it's really stayed the same. I've been a bit of a drawdown on some of my low risk accounts. And since we last spoke, I actually have readopted a high risk portion of my portfolio towards high risk trades that I'm working with Rod very closely to make sure I don't lose those accounts, but to kind of push my mental limits and put my mettle to the test.
Yeah, and does that being in a drawdown, does that impact the number of withdrawals you make and how much money you can?
Of course it does. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And are you able to, I suppose, survive through that based on what you've earned prior to the drawdown?
And really part of that was putting myself in a financial position where I am comfortable, for the next 6 months, 12 months without making any money. And that was really the biggest challenge. And I think the biggest challenge for most people is get yourself in a financial position where you can trade full time without any stress. Because if you're stressed and you have to trade to make money to pay your expenses for however long, it's your comfortability level. It doesn't have to be 6 months. It doesn't have to be a year. We have enough saved up for more than a year probably to cover our expenses. And it really reduces the stress level that I have to trade to make money.
Yeah. It's interesting. Actually, I read a quote on Twitter yesterday from Tom Dante, and he said he'd asked the question to like somebody who ran a fund or something like that. What do you see? You've seen hundreds of traders or thousands of traders. What do you see is the one key aspect?
Oh yeah, I think I've seen the same. I saw the same tweet. Yep.
Actually, I might have seen it on your one. I think I saw it on your one, and that's where I saw it because I was looking at your stuff. And he said he thought the answer was going to be
the person that doesn't need to make money, that makes the most.
Yeah, the person that doesn't need the money tends to do well in trading. So, and I suppose not needing the money is like you are completely almost financially free, so that you don't really care. Exactly. And I mean, I've seen that in a lot of the people that I've interviewed.
It's nice to be in that position, but also to still have goals, right?
Yeah,
it's okay. It's okay to hit a certain point and be comfortable, but for me, you're gonna get bored at some point. Like you should have other business ventures that you're chasing after. Otherwise, you're going to have complacency that leaks into your life. And, it's really about evolving, getting better every day.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Right, we're going to dive in and have a look at this is the reason I got you on, because I thought you're probably the most ideal person to have a look at this. And this is the Funded Traders World Cup from City Traders Imperium. So I'm going to share my screen in a second. Okay, so this was the video we shot. You're looking a little bit older, but only 3 months, so not too much older. 73,000 views, that's awesome.
I feel younger.
Yeah, you feel younger. So guys, go and check this out. This is the full interview we did with Kyle, and this was one of the, I suppose it is a very, very good interview. I need to listen to it again because I get so many comments on it every day and people absolutely love it. So yeah, definitely go and check this out. But what we're going to talk about today is the Funded Traders World Cup. So this is something City Traders Imperium are about to start. I think it starts early October, like very early October. It is not everyone can enter this. You have to be someone like Kyle who has passed funding challenges before. Doesn't matter who you've passed them with. If you've won competitions before, you've got to have some kind of proof that you have, you are among the best of the best. You're a funded trader, and you can get a chance to win this $400,000 live funded account with City Traders Imperium. Now, what we're going to do here is sort of walk through the rules and then some of the criteria and the scoring, and just get Kyle's opinion on what you sort of see as like upsides, downsides, and that sort of thing, and give the guys an idea as to whether or not they might want to jump in. So I'm going to just zoom this in a bit here so people can see it a bit clearer. So yeah, obviously it starts 2nd of October, so you've got time to register. It runs for a month and a half. You're going to get a $100,000 demo account to start off with. You've got to be active for 10 trading days, so it's a bit like a funded trader challenge. Drawdown $6,000, absolute, so it's a daily, and then the absolute is 10,000. So you 10% drawdown. Yep. Leverage 1 to 33. Holding trades on weekend is allowed, which is interesting. Overnight's allowed as well. You can pretty much trade anything. So what are your sort of views on this as a standard sort of competition rules?
Yeah, it seems pretty straightforward to me. I mean, I think as a challenge, the minimum active trading days is not too big of an issue. I think if you're really trying to win the challenge, you're going to be active more than 10 days anyways, because it looks like this challenge is about a month and a half, correct? So I think the 10-day active rule is probably not going to be too big of an issue for most people. What I would be interested in is, because I know CTI sometimes has like a consistency rule where you have to stay within like a certain lot size. That's how they count an active trading day. Whereas some other firms, they might count an active trading day as if you were placing a micro lot. And that's something that we could definitely clarify. But as far as the max daily drawdown, it's very lenient, 6%, and then the max absolute is 10%.
Yeah.
So as a challenge, I guess you would be okay risking, if you have some of those high risk traders that are risking 1 to 2%, per position. It allows them some room to add into positions and possibly take a larger position size than they would in a normal challenge.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I mean, the winner of the last cup that we ran was actually, it was the cup before the last. I think it was 2 ago. The very first one we ran, the guy made 92%.
Wow.
In 42 days, and he wasn't even a funded trader. He was I suppose he's just moving across that sort of threshold of being break even to profitable.
Right. I'm sure that's a huge confidence boost for him.
Yeah.
It's just, can you replicate that on a more consistent basis?
Well, that was the thing. He had I think he talked about having it like 70 losing trades in a row,
Wow.
but then he had like one massive winner. But that wasn't the whole strategy. There was other parts to it. Because I know, you're also obviously with Rodrigo Torres, who is one of the portfolio managers over there at City Traders, and he's doing your mindset stuff, and I know they've got mindset coaching here, and they also do they've got strategies. They're basically there to sort of help you get past the funding challenge. They got their BLT, which is like a smart money concept kind of strategy. They teach as well as SST, which is Daniel Martin, who's been on the show, strategy as well. So so that's, I suppose, can you sort of give us a quick overview as to how your experience has been with Rod from a mindset coaching point of view?
Yeah, it's definitely helped me a lot. He's kind of given me pointers as far as what's causing me to get into a certain mindset, and how to get out of that. That's probably the biggest thing. There's certain small things throughout the day, like reducing, I guess, regulating my dopamine levels, less television at night before I go to bed. That way my mind's not racing. Small tips here and there. And actually things that have worked for him personally. And I trust Rod, so, I'm kind of like the guinea pig for him also. I report back and let him know what's working, what's not. And so far, everything that he's helped me with has definitely improved my at least my mental capital, and kind of getting me back in sync with the markets when I'm not feeling it.
We'll go into the ranking criteria in a second, and how the scoring works. But I just want to ask you around your sleep and getting, you talked about not watching TV before you go to sleep. Are there any other things that you do to help with getting a better night's sleep, which is a key to obviously better mental, being better mentally?
The biggest thing for me was actually waking up really early. I wake up at 4 a.m. getting that exercise in. So by the time I do get to 7, 8 o'clock, I'm already pretty much spent. By that time, I try and have some tea with some CBD in it, as well as just laying down in bed and reading a book rather than scrolling on social media.
Okay. And the CBD, because somebody actually mentioned that to me the other day, that's like a hemp kind of product.
Right, it's hemp-based, yep.
And tea with it in it, you just put a little teaspoon or whatever in it. And
the one I get is actually from the grocery store. They actually have the tea bags with the hemp inside the bag. Yeah, okay. So it makes it very convenient. I know you can buy drops. I'm not exactly sure, wherever your listeners are from, if it's completely legal or not. But in the States, I can just pick it up right at the grocery store.
And do you find you get a better sleep through that or not?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So it's changed since you've had that.
It might be also just be the tea itself. I'm Chinese, so tea drinking in my culture is very big. Every time I've had tea, it just kind of puts me at ease. Kind of
Yeah.
I don't know. It could be a psychological effect too. So
yeah. Cool. Okay. Right now, so let's jump into this ranking criteria, which I think is quite interesting. So this is how they're scoring it. So we can see here probably the example of it's easier to understand. So it's the highest net profit percent, and then criteria 2. So that's criteria 1, the higher the better. And then criteria 2 is the highest net profit percent divided by drawdown percent ratio. You get points for each of these. Right. What are your sort of views on how, where I think maybe you could, if you were going to take part in it, where you think you'd probably end up, and what sort of points you may get?
So I think criteria 2 is really where things get interesting, because if you're trading with higher risk, it's gonna reduce your ratio if you're taking a loss, right? Let's say if we have two traders that make 30%, both of them make 30%, but one has a 2% drawdown versus one has a 3% drawdown. That ratio, you're not going to get as many points from that ratio. So it's going to be crucial.
Yeah.
Because everybody, people can line up. It doesn't really matter where, you can have multiple participants that have the same percentage gain. It's really about the ratio, and that's really where things can get interesting.
Yeah, so they're really looking for the guys that are going to win are going to be having low drawdown and high net profit. So the ideal, solution, I suppose, the higher win rate as well is gonna take it out.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of.
But I guess the thing is, like, you can't really compare yourself to what the other traders are going to be doing because you have no idea what they're going to be doing. So I guarantee somebody's going to be out there risking the max daily percentage. But if they take that one loss, it's going to really, by the time the end of the competition comes around, it could really impact them.
And I think it's probably definitely one for people who can't enter or are not allowed to enter because you haven't got you haven't passed the challenge yet or whatever. Then it's going to be one to watch to see how these points fluctuate and which traders are coming out top. And if somebody can get a 10-pointer here, then they're doing pretty well. I'm not too sure how they do it across actually, here's an example of how it works. So if you guys want to dive into the detail, so like you can sort of really see what an example will get you 11 points. So so trader one makes 79% net profit, and his net profit percentage to relative drawdown ratio is 4. Would receive 7 points for making the 79%, and plus 4 points for having a net profit drawdown ratio of 4. Okay, right. So therefore he gets 11 points. And I suppose as this points, I'm guessing the points thing is calculated at the end.
I guess cumulatively. I'm sure cumulatively, whoever has the highest points is going to win. So really, you could have somebody that has less percentage net return, but a better ratio that can come out ahead. Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. Very interesting to see. So, hey, look. So that's the Funded Traders World Cup 2022. If you folks are looking to enter that, if you are a funded trader, you've got a chance to win this $400,000 live funded account and compete against the best of the best to prove yourself off. So obviously, give that a crack. Now, I'm just going to stop sharing here. So, Kyle, before we wrap up, what are the next steps for you? What are your sort of goals for the next, I suppose, 12 months or into 2023?
Right. So for the next 12 months, I actually talked about this with Rod, is focusing on building up enough cash to get into real estate and start building out a portfolio there. That way I don't have to rely so much on trading. But not only that, start slowly building out a really solid track record to eventually bring in investor funds. But outside of that, really just focusing on my consistency, my discipline, getting, more mentally fit, stronger in the gym, focusing on reading more, things that will improve my trading, not so much technical analysis, because technical analysis is really only, 5-10% of a strategy, in my opinion, at least. I think the biggest gain, like we had talked about earlier with Tom Hogarth, he had mentioned the biggest gain I think that most people are not looking at is the mental side.
Yeah, it's interesting that. Now, before we sort of wrap up, I do want to ask you, because a lot of questions came in around how you copy your trades across all these platforms. Do you want to explain?
And people DM me all the time, and it's really hard to get back to everyone. But I use social trader tools, and it's really customizable. You can pick your, each account to be traded by your balance, a fixed lot size, a multiplier, things like that. It's really how you want to set it up. But I kind of have mine set on a risk multiplier based on the account balance.
Cool. Okay. Brilliant. And last but not least, is there any sort of, if you had to say, here's one bit of advice for anyone that's looking to get funded, what would you say to them?
Oh man, I guess it's a little bit hard to think about since the last time we spoke, because I feel like it hasn't changed too much, but also I could give you 100 different answers. But I guess really the one thing is if you don't have a profitable system right now, you have to figure out why your system is not profitable. Are you system hopping, or do you have a system that you believe in and are confident in, and you're struggling in other areas? For me, for the longest time, I actually was trading ICT for quite a while, and I was still losing. So for me personally, the biggest things that I had to focus on were not strategy related, really.
Cool. Okay.
So really, my advice is you have to find your weakest link and figure out if attacking that weakest link and improving that, is that going to make you profitable now? And now are you ready to take the funded challenge? Yeah. Or are there some things externally in your life that are kind of getting in the way, that are throwing off your mindset, and maybe you're not ready for the challenge yet? But you have to, problem solve, think about what's standing in your way from achieving that goal, and then attacking it in a more strategic manner.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it's funny that I know that the guys at CTI have got those sort of bases covered in terms of, the mindset. They've got mindset training there. They got the strategies as well. So if you're looking for a place to get started, then go and check them out, and then make sure you follow along this Funded Trader World Cup, or enter it if you have been funded somewhere else and want to give it a crack. Folks, if you're looking for the skills to get funded, then the bank level trading strategy from my sponsors, City Traders Imperium, may be the perfect solution for you. Now, get this: trades average 1 to 5 risk to reward with a 40 to 50% win rate. And the strategy combines the best of smart money concepts, wave theory, and Wyckoff theory. Plus, it's been successfully used to pass CTI's evaluation challenge. To find out more, click the link in the description below or the card above, or visit citytradersimperium.com. But Kyle, thank you very much for coming on the show again. Really appreciate it, getting that update. And before we wrap up, do you want to let the guys know how they can get hold of you?
Yeah, they can reach me on Twitter at JadeCapFX or Instagram at jadecap.kn.
Brilliant, guys. Well, look, thank you for watching this video. Do remember, hit subscribe, hit like, click on that notifications bell, click all, and we'll see you in the next one. Hey folks, ever wonder what broker I use? Well, I use Hanko Trade. It was a no-brainer because I was looking for a broker with good trading conditions and one that wouldn't restrict my leverage. Now, by joining Hanko Trade, I've also cut down my trading costs significantly with their super low commission of just $1 per 100K. You can learn more at hankotrade.com or just click the link I've put in the description.